Maxwell Job stands at the edge of the schoolyard, waiting for the bell to ring, knowing when it does, something he hasn't started may already be ending. He can speak now, or let spring decide for him. Either way, love will take something he cannot replace. The road to Maxwell Job's ranch is narrow and worn thin, pressed into the earth by years of cattle hooves and careful decisions. Wind moves through the grass, indifferent. Fences hold because they must. Out here, nothing promises to stay. Maxwell Job is a cattleman who has learned that wanting too much invites loss, and that a child depends on him not making that mistake again. Annabelle Reese teaches at the small schoolhouse down the road. She stays late, sweeping floors, mending books, speaking kindly in ways that don't ask for anything back. Maxwell helps when something breaks. She thanks him. Neither of them says what the closeness means, because silence keeps life stable. For his daughter, for her borrowed time in this place. But Annabelle's contract ends in the spring, and when she leaves, Maxwell must decide whether love is worth unsettling the only world his child knows, or whether letting her go is the last promise he keeps. Maxwell Job pauses at the gate when he hears the school bell ring. He wasn't meant to be there. He'd ridden down to fix a loose fence rail, nothing more. But his horse stopped short, ears forward, as if it sensed something changing. Children spill from the small schoolhouse, boots kicking up dust, voices sharp and quick. Maxwell waits. He tells himself he's only making sure his daughter finds her coat. He does not move closer. Annabelle Reese steps onto the porch last. She carries a stack of books against her chest. Her dress brushes the wood rail as she leans down to speak to a child who's fallen behind. She smiles when the boy nods and runs off. Maxwell watches. He shouldn't. He knows that. His daughter spots him and waves. He lifts a hand back, careful, measured. Annabelle looks up then. Just once. Their eyes meet across the yard. She doesn't smile this time. She only inclines her head, like acknowledging a neighbor, not a man who helped mend her stove last week or brought fresh boards when the schoolhouse step cracked. The moment stretches. Wind moves through the grass between them. Dust settles on his boots. Maxwell turns away first. On the ride home, his daughter talks about spelling lessons and new chalk. He listens. He always listens. At the ranch, he lifts her down, ties the horse, sets water to boil. Supper comes together the way it always does. Later, as the lamplight fills the kitchen, he finds a folded notice on the table. Annabelle must have left it when she borrowed sugar. He doesn't open it right away. When he does, it's brief, official, clear. Her teaching contract ends in the spring. Maxwell folds the paper carefully and sets it back down. Nothing has been said, but something has already begun to leave. Maxwell waits outside the schoolhouse after sunset. He ties his horse to the fence and stands with his hat in his hands. Lamplight glows through the window. Shadows move inside. He tells himself he's only come to return a tool she left behind. Annabelle opens the doctor before he knocks. She looks surprised, then careful. She steps aside without speaking. Inside, the room smells of chalk and wood. Books are stacked neatly on the desk. A single lamp burns low. Maxwell sets the tool down where she can see it. "You left this," he says. "I did," she replies. Her voice is steady. She does not reach for it yet. They stand a few steps apart. Too close for neighbors. Too far for anything else. Maxwell notices her hands. One thumb rubs the edge of the desk, slow and absent. He wants to speak. He does not. Annabelle moves first. She pours water from a kettle into 2 cups, though he hasn't asked. She hands him one. Their fingers almost touch. She pulls back before they do. "You saw the notice," she says. Maxwell nods. He drinks. The water is still hot. He barely feels it. It's not decided yet, she adds. But likely? Likely feels final enough. He could ask where she'll go. He could tell her his daughter asks about her lessons every night. He could say the ranch has room. He says none of it. Outside, wind presses against the walls. The lamp flickers. Annabelle sets her cup down, untouched. I won't stay where I'm only borrowing space, she says quietly. Maxwell understands that kind of living. He puts his hat back on. Thanks her for the water. Turn for the door. At the threshold, she speaks again. If you needed something, she says, you could ask. Maxwell stops. Breath held. Words waiting. He steps outside instead. The door closes behind him. The space she offered goes with it. Maxwell tightens the last fence wire as Annabelle approaches the gate. He hears her boots before he sees her. Footsteps on dry earth. He straightens slowly, giving himself time he doesn't need. She stops a few paces away, holds her hands together. The wind lifts a loose strand of her hair and drops it again. I need a favor, she says. Maxwell nods. He waits. He always waits. The school board sent word, she continued. They're inspecting the building tomorrow. The step out front is still weak. She glances toward the road. I don't have a way to haul new boards. Maxwell looks at the fence, then at the truck parked near the barn. The answer is simple. It always is. I can bring some, he says. Relief crosses her face too quickly to hide. It fades just as fast. Thank you, she says. I know it's asking. It's not, he replies. The words come easier than the others he keeps back. They walk toward the barn together. Not close, not far. Dust rises with each step and settles on their cuffs. Maxwell opens the truck bed. Annabelle steadies the boards as he loads them. Their hands brush this time. Brief. Real. She doesn't pull away. For a moment, neither moves. Breath hangs between them. Wood presses against his palm. He feels how easy it would be to stay there. Annabelle speaks first. I won't be here much longer, she says, not accusing, just true. Maxwell nods. He lifts the last board into place. Tie it down tight. I'll come by in the morning, he says. She watches him secure the rope. You don't have to, she says. He meets her eyes. Hold them longer than he should. I said I would. As she walks back toward the road, Maxwell realizes what's changed. Helping her is no longer a kindness. It's a way of staying close when saying more feels dangerous. Maxwell sets the boards down as the school bell rings. Children crowd the doorway, boots scuffing the step he's fixing. Annabelle kneels beside him, holding the nail steady. Her sleeve brushes his wrist. She doesn't pull back. Careful, she says softly. He nods and drives the nail home. Voices drift closer. Parents waiting. A man from the board steps down from a buggy and watches. Maxwell feels the weight of eyes before he lifts his head. Annabelle stands, smooths her skirt. Thanks him like she would any neighbor. The distance is careful. Practiced. Maxwell wipes his hands on his trousers. The wind carries dust across the yard. It settles on the fresh wood, on his boots. At the moment they're pretending isn't happening. Good work, the boardman says, nodding once. School needs steady hands. Maxwell answers with a nod of his own. He doesn't look at Annabelle. When the children spill out, his daughter runs to him. She grabs his hand, tugging him closer to the step. Miss Reese says I read better today, she says. Annabelle smiles then. A real one. She kneels to the child's height. Adjusts a loose button. Their closeness is plain. Kind. Seen. Maxwell feels it land. A woman across the yard pauses her conversation. Another looks twice. Nothing is said. Everything is noted. Annabelle straightens. Her smile fades to something careful again. I should thank you properly, she says. quiet enough for only him. Later. Maxwell hesitates. He hears the warning in her voice. He hears the wanting, too. He nods once. As he leads his daughter away, he understands what's shifted. Silence no longer keeps them safe. It only makes what's seen harder to undo. Maxwell pauses at the stove when his daughter speaks. Is Miss Reese coming for supper? The question is simple. It lands hard. He sets the pot down slowly. Steam lifts, then fades. He keeps his back turned. She's busy, he says. His daughter swings her legs at the table. Leather creaks beneath her. She said she liked your stew, she adds. She said it twice. Maxwell nods, though she can't see him. He ladles food into bowls, careful not to spill, careful not to answer too quickly. She won't be here long, he says instead. His daughter frowns. Why? He carries the bowls over, set them down. The wood table is scarred from years of meals taken quietly. He sits. That's how school teachers are, he says. They move on. She pushes food around with her spoon. Breath quickens. I don't want her to go. Maxwell feels the truth press closer than it ever has. Not from Annabelle, from the child who trusts him to keep things steady. She has her own life, he says. The words sound thinner, spoken aloud. His daughter looks up. Do you want her to stay? The room stills. Lamplight flickers once. Wind presses against the window. Maxwell opens his mouth. Stops. What he wants has never been the measure. What keeps the house standing is... I want things to stay the same, he says. His daughter nods slowly. Accept it. She always does. Later, after she's asleep, Maxwell steps onto the porch, earth cool beneath his boots. He looks toward the road that leads past the schoolhouse. He imagines Annabelle sitting alone with her books. He imagines not going. For the first time, silence costs more than speaking ever has. And he knows the next choice won't belong to him alone. Maxwell stops when he sees the envelope on the schoolhouse desk. He's there to carry out a broken chair. Nothing more. The room is quiet. Afternoon light slants across the wood floor. Dust hangs, then settles. The envelope is open. His name isn't on it. He shouldn't read it. He knows that. He sets the chair down anyway. The paper lifts slightly in the draft from the door. March departure confirmed. Position secured. Maxwell's breath shortens. He reads no further. Footsteps sound outside. He folds the letter once, sets it back where it was. Too neat, too careful. Annabelle enters with an armful of books. She stops when she sees him. I didn't know you were coming, she says. I was passing by, he replies. The lie is small. It sits between them. She sets the books down. Notice the envelope. Her hand stills. You saw it, she says. Maxwell nods. He does not apologize. He does not explain. I plan to tell you, she says. Soon. How soon? He asks. She looks at the floor, then at him. Before it hurt more. The truth lands. Clear. Heavy. You're leaving early, he says. Yes. He steps back. The chair leg scrapes the wood. The sound cuts sharp in the quiet. You didn't ask me to stay, she says. Not accusing, just naming it. Maxwell hears his daughter's voice in his head. I don't want her to go. What would staying take? He asks. Annabelle meets his eyes. Hold them. Everything you've been protecting. Wind presses against the windows. The room feels smaller. Maxwell lifts the chair again. Carries it out without another word. Behind him, Annabelle lets the door close. The choice he didn't make has been made for him. Maxwell takes the long way to town on purpose. The road bends wide around the schoolhouse. His horse knows the shorter path. He pulls the reins anyway. Leather creaks. The decision feels heavier than it should. In town, he keeps his hat low. He buys feed, nails, coffee. He does not look toward the schoolyard. He tells himself absence is kindness. At the hitching post, he hears her voice, not calling him, just speaking. He stops, breath held. He does not turn. Annabelle stands a few yards away, speaking to the shopkeeper. Her hands move as she talks, measured, careful. She looks thinner somehow, or maybe farther. She finishes and steps outside, sees him at once. Neither speaks. People pass between them, footsteps, fabric brushing. Dust stirred and settled again. "You've been avoiding me," she says. "I've been busy," he answers. She studies his face. The lie does not surprise her. "I leave in 3 weeks," she says. "I thought you should hear it from me." Maxwell nods. He keeps his hands at his sides. He does not step closer. "That's soon," he says. "It is," she replies. "I would have stayed longer." The words hang, clear enough to hurt. "For what?" he asks. "For the chance to be asked," she says. Maxwell swallows. The town feels too open, too many eyes. "I can't," he says finally. She waits, gives him space to add more. He doesn't. Annabelle steps back. Distance reclaims its place between them. "Then this is where it ends," she says. She turns away first this time. Maxwell watches her go. He does not follow. He does not call out. Staying still feels like control. Only later, riding home alone, does he understand what he's done. Distance was never protection. It was a decision. And it cost him the chance to undo it. Maxwell hears the wagon before he sees it. Wood wheels, slow, deliberate. He's mending tack in the barn when the sound reaches him. He steps outside, breath already tight. The wagon stands near the road. Annabelle lifts a trunk down by herself. She sets it carefully on the earth. Dust coats the corners. He walks toward her. Not quickly. Not slow enough. "I can help," he says. She nods once. No surprise. No relief. They lift together. Leather straps bite into his palm. The trunk is heavier than it looks. Or maybe the weight is elsewhere. "You're packing early," he says. "I'm finished waiting," she replies. They carry the trunk to the porch. Wood creaks under the strain. They set it down. She straightens, brushing dust from her hands. "I told the board I'd leave before the term ends," she says. "They understood." Maxwell feels the words land where silence used to sit. "You didn't have to," he says. "I did," she answers. "Staying was asking for something you made clear you won't give." Wind lifts her skirt hem. She holds it down, grounded, steady. Maxwell steps closer. Stops when she doesn't move toward him. "My daughter," he begins. "I know," Annabelle says. "I was careful. I always was." That hurts more than anger would. She looks at him then. Really looks. "I needed to know if love had a place here," she says. "Not someday, not after." Maxwell searches for words that won't break everything. He finds none that won't. Annabelle turns back to the wagon. "I'll be gone before spring," she says, "so you won't have to choose." The horse shifts. Harness jingles. Maxwell stands on his land, watching the future move closer to leaving. For the first time, doing nothing feels like the most expensive choice of all. Maxwell waits until nightfall to speak. The house is quiet. His daughter sleeps in the next room, breath slow and even. Lamplight pools on the table. He stands there longer than he needs to, then lifts his coat. The ride to the schoolhouse is short. It feels longer. Annabelle's lamp is still lit. He dismounts, ties the reins. His footsteps sound louder than they should on the porch. She opens the door before he knocks. "You shouldn't be here," she says. "I know," he answers. They stand just inside the doorway, wood beneath their feet, wind pressing at the frame. He removes his hat, holds it against his chest. "I've been wrong," he says. The words are plain. They take effort anyway. I thought keeping things steady was the same as keeping them safe. Annabelle watches him closely. She does not soften. My daughter is afraid of losing what she knows, he continues. So am I. He swallows. But I don't want her to learn that love leaves when it's asked to stay. Silence stretches. Annabelle steps back. Give him room to finish. I can't promise ease, he says. I can promise I won't hide. She shakes her head once. Slow. You're asking me to trust a change you didn't choose until it was already leaving, she says. He nods. Accept it. I know, he says. I waited too long. Annabelle turns toward the desk, picks up a folded paper, set it between them. I leave in the morning, she says. The words land final. Maxwell reaches out, stops short of touching her. I wanted you to know, he says, that I would have chosen you. She looks at his hand, then at his face. That's what makes it hurt, she says. You waited until choosing no longer mattered. She opens the door. Maxwell steps back into the night. The door closes. This time there is nothing left to hold. Maxwell stands at the road before sunrise. The wagon waits, one trunk tied down, one horse shifting its weight. Annabelle tightens the strap without looking at him. His daughter holds his hand. Her grip is firm, awake, watching. Is she leaving now? The child asks. Yes, Maxwell says. Annabelle turns. She kneels in front of the girl, smooths her hair, presses a book into her hands. For you, she says, so you don't forget your letters. I won't, the girl promises. Annabelle stands. She looks at Maxwell then, not searching, not hoping, just seeing. You'll be all right, she says. He nods. He believes her. That's the trouble. She climbs onto the wagon. The driver flicks the reins. Wood creaks. Wheels turn. Earth shifts beneath them. Maxwell does not follow. He does not call out. He does not undo what has already been chosen. The wagon moves down the road. Distance opens where closeness once stood. Dust rises, then settles again. His daughter watches until it disappears. She squeezes his hand once, then lets go. At the ranch, the day continues. Cattle need water. Fences need watching. Meals must be made. Weeks later, he repairs the schoolhouse step alone. The boards are sound. The room is empty. Maxwell understands something now. Love did not fail him. He failed to meet it when it asked to stay. He lives with that knowledge. Carefully, softly, quietly, but changed. If you love stories like this, you're welcome here. Subscribe if you want more Western romances. And if this story stayed with you, you can say so in the comments. I'll see it. I'm your narrator, John. Until the next road.